Hey everybody, Corn-Fed Lady here, and today I'm finally going to start seeding out our large vegetable garden. So come along with me. Hi Fred. Hey pigs. What you doing? Did you hear me come through the gate? That's good, pigs. It's not dinner time yet. It's like 9 in the morning. I'm going over there to do some gardening. Now gardening is all about patience. You have to wait for the right time to plant your seeds. But even before that, you have to prepare your garden area. And gardening patience for me also includes feeling a little bit jealous and anxious watching all of the other YouTube channels start their gardens in March and April, some of them even in February in greenhouses. But that's okay, because I know that I've waited to the perfect time to plant our seeds in our garden here in central Illinois. Now you can see we have already planted our potato bed, and we've got a mixture of Kennebec White, Yukon Gold, and on the very end here, you may have seen the little 5-minute video that I made on how to start your own potato bed. This is where the russet potatoes are that had sprouted from the store, and they're still tucked in there nice and neat. I've got these bales of hay just kind of holding this hay into place so it doesn't blow away. But this whole area here is boxed in with cinder blocks and wood beams, so the hay will stay nice and neatly in place on top of the potatoes. You want to keep them covered up good so that the sun doesn't get to them, because if it does, it turns them green and it makes them foul to eat. You can actually get sick off of eating green potatoes. These are some of the pallets that we had laid out over the large garden area and over the corn patch area. We've done a little work over here. The greenhouse has had so many problems. The door got ripped off by another storm, so we're just kind of using this for storage right now. We've got some straw. This is just old straw that's already been rained on, so it's really good for mulch in the gardens. Let's see. And this black cloth right here, this is a ground cloth. It's not a tarp, so it is breathable. Air and water can get through it, but not so much sunlight and weeds, except for along the cracks maybe. But this is where we're going to plant our melons, like watermelons, pumpkins, squash, right along the edge here. And this provides an area for it to grow out without being weedy. My husband was struggling last year to be able to weed eat around the melon patch without hurting the melon patch itself. So this year we've put this black cloth down in hopes that our melons can grow out onto it and not have as much of a weed problem. And just to the side of our melon area is our corn patch spot. So we did have some pallets sitting on this spot. Some of those pallets that are stacked up over there were sitting on this spot, and that's why you can see it killed the grass in lines. And the little strips in between the boards, the grass didn't die. So we've got kind of a little stripey effect here, and it's kind of like a checkerboard patchwork too. I thought that was kind of interesting, but it doesn't matter. My husband's going to till up this entire block here, and we'll be able to plant a few rows. I think I'm going to do like plant half of it for now, well, in a few weeks, and then I'll plant the other half a couple weeks after that, and that way we can have batches of sweet corn coming in. And we may even extend this patch a little bit on down towards this burn pit, so that we can have multiple sections of corn going at the same time, staggered a few weeks apart, again, so that we can continue harvesting on a regular basis for ourselves and for farmers market. And to prepare our garden area, you may have seen in an old video that we had a tarp covering this dirt area. And that tarp helped to kill all the grass in this area. Once all that grass was dead and we peeled the tarp off, my husband used a tiller to help break up the hard soil. And that's really all we plan on doing to this dirt to get it prepared for seeding. Now, depending on where you live, you may or may not have good organic soil like we do here. You can see some of the dead material, the dead grasses in here. That will break down over time and help feed the new plants and keep this soil healthy. Now, where we live is out in the middle of cornfield country in central Illinois. So we're completely surrounded by nothing but fertile fields. So our soil is naturally really good. And if you dig down a little, you can see just how dark it is in there. It's almost black. And this is the kind of soil that you're looking for to grow a good garden. Something that's really dark and really kind of crumbly. You don't want it to be red. You don't want it to have sand or rocks, preferably. This is as good as the stuff you can buy in the bags at the store. So. And for some of these reasons, waiting for the right weather timing, and because we have such healthy soil, I like to go ahead and direct sow the seeds into the ground. So I don't start them off in seed trays. I simply start them right where they're going to spend their entire life. And from that point forward, I just let Mother Nature take care of all the work. She provides the sunlight and the rain and the good soil that all the plants will need to grow. Now, I know some of you are new to gardening and maybe even a little intimidated by the thought of starting your own garden for the first time. But I'm going to show you a few things just to try to help ease your mind. So the first thing I've got here is just a package of carrots. Now, there's lots of different varieties, and really the only way to know what your favorite variety is to try a bunch of them and see which one you like best. Now, we did that last year, and I know that the Scarlet Nantes is one that we really like. So this one here is the Scarlet Nantes carrot, and it's a little more reddish colored than some of the oranger carrots, and it's also pretty sweet, so I really like this one. Now, if you look at your package of seeds, you're going to see a couple of different things on there. Now, the difference between an heirloom variety and a hybrid variety of seed is that the heirloom variety you can save seeds from, and those seeds will grow to be exactly like what they were. On the other hand, if you use a hybrid variety, then the seeds from a hybrid variety may not necessarily be true to the parent plant. So say, for example, if you're growing a hybrid variety of carrots and you try to save the seeds from it, the carrots that you grow off of those seeds will not necessarily be the same as the carrots that you took them from because they're a hybrid. So some of the other things that you'll find on your seed packets when you buy them may answer some of your beginner questions, like planting depth, that's how deep in the ground you want to plant the seeds, the seed spacing, how far apart you want them from each other, spacing between rows, this is if you're growing rows of them, how much space between each row, versus seed spacing is the space between each seed within that row. Days to germination is how long it's going to take for those seeds to start to sprout up out of the ground. So this one says 8 days. So if I haven't seen anything in, say, 9 or 10 days, then I can start to worry. The next section says spacing after thinning. Now, this isn't going to apply to every seed packet, but for carrots, you seed them kind of thick, and I'll show you here in a minute in the garden. And then what you do is you go back once they've started sprouting, and you pull some of them out, so that the spacing after thinning, it says on here, should be 3 inches. So they want you to have 3 inches between the carrots, but not necessarily between the seeds when you're planting the seeds, if that makes sense. And then days to maturity. So this is how long it's going to take to be able to harvest it from the time that you've planted it. So those are just a few things that you'll see on your seed packets when you buy them. Make sure that you read them carefully before you purchase anything. You'll also see planting instructions. A lot of them give you timing. It'll say what time of year, maybe what month. They can also say things like they need full sun or full shade or somewhere in between. So make sure that you're considering how much sun and shade your garden will be getting and what type of plants you're putting in there. Now, when you're questioning how much sun your garden is going to receive, the best way to go about figuring that out is to just simply watch it. So you can see here the edge of the shade from our tree line is just about to pass the edge of the garden. And there's the sun right on the edge of the tree line. So as soon as that sun comes up in the next 10-15 minutes, this whole garden is going to continue to get more and more splashed with sunlight. So right now it's about 9 a.m. So from, we'll say, about 10 a.m. this should all be in the sun. From about 10 a.m. till the sun sets in the west over there at 7:30, it gets full sun. So that's about 9 hours. Now, if the sun sets a little earlier, depending on the season, maybe it's only 8 hours. But that's plenty of sun for any full sun plant or anything less than that. Well, let's get this party started. Here's the seeds that I chose for today. Now, before I start, I want to show you a little measuring trick, because on the back of these packages it says how far to space the seeds and the rows and whatnot, and how deep to plant them. Instead of carrying around a ruler or wishing that there was one on the edge of this packet, what you can do is use your finger as a reference. So this first digit of your finger down to that knuckle is about 1 inch, and then down to the next knuckle is about another inch. Down to the third knuckle, that's about 3 inches. And then 2 more inches down to your thumb. So this is 5 inches long here. So you got 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch. That way you can go 1 inch in the soil for a seed, or 1 inch apart. These ones say to plant 1/2 inch, which is about to the cuticle of my nail, and about 1 inch apart. So what I'm going to do here in this rough surface, since you can't accurately get 1/2 inch and 1 inch, is I'm just going to loosen this soil a little, sprinkle the seeds in there, and then kind of shoosh it back over the top. Okay? Now it says to plant these 1 inch apart, but there's no way to measure these teeny tiny seeds 1 inch apart. So I'm just going to sprinkle. Gotta have fun sometimes. Next up, broccoli. And that does it for today. So we planted some carrots, a couple rows of carrots, lettuce, kale, spinach, broccoli, sugar snap peas, and a couple different varieties of beans. And that'll do it for this first half of the garden. Now all of that stuff is kind of cool weather tolerant. So even if it does happen to get cool for a night or two, which it's not supposed to be below 40, but even if it did, this stuff would still be okay. So I'm not risking anything by planting this now. Now the back half is going to be stuff that's more preferable to the heat. So those would be things like peppers, tomatoes, sunflowers, maybe some cucumbers or something. And then along the edge here, we're going to plant some watermelons. I've got a few different varieties of watermelons, pumpkins, maybe some squash, and let those grow out across this black fabric area because they vine out. And then just behind that, we'll be planting the sweet corn patch, and all of that will be happening in a couple weeks if things go well. Well, that's it for the gardening video today. Make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss out on all the upcoming updates, on all the upcoming gardening videos that I'll be putting out, including the second planting, the corn bed, and the watermelons. I think that's it, huh, Pigs? Yeah? You guys have a good day. You can start your gardening if the weather is right in your area. Don't let me or anyone else convince you to start any earlier than what you should for your climate in your area. Y'all have a good one. Bye. Hey, piggy piggies. You're not going to touch that wire, are you? All right.